Hey guys, it's Demetria. Hey, it is time for our duplicate training for the week, and this is our fourth one. And I'm going to pre-record this and just post it for you guys because, my mother-in-law is in town and she's going to take care of our kids tonight, and Chris and I are going to go out on a date night. And so I thought that this would be okay. Hopefully, y'all don't mind having a pre-recorded um, little session for tonight. We're going to be talking about recruiting. Okay. And so this was really convicting for me, even as I was preparing for this training, just as far as thinking about how vital and how important this is for our business, particularly as we grow. As you grow a team and you start feeling like, oh, I've got a few consultants under me and they've got a few under them, and you start feeling really good and confident. A lot of times that is one of the things, oddly, that kind of slips off of our plate because we get really bogged down with all the other things that we think we need to be doing, like taking care of our team or training or whatever, and our own personal business suffers. And so recruiting is what we really need to be focusing on. It needs to trump all those other things. But so often, I know I'm guilty of it. That is one of the things that goes first. So we're going to talk about some practical tips for it today, and also some fears or concerns or things that we kind of use as excuses to recruiting as well. So like I said earlier, it is the first thing that we need to be doing. It is the most important thing, is keeping that funnel full by recruiting and growing your team. It really is it's challenging to do that, but it can also be a lot of fun, the recruiting process, right? As I was putting all this together, I was like, this isn't hard. Recruiting isn't hard, but it's really simple, actually. It's simple, but it's not necessarily easy, okay? It is a simple process. There are simple things about this business. Duplication is the purpose of this business, right? We have to keep everything simple. So recruiting is simple. It really is, but it's not easy, okay? It's not, we can do hard things, but recruiting is one of those things. But for me personally, it's a challenge, okay? So recruiting is simple, but not easy. Okay. So it's one of those things that we're going to have to kind of push ourselves a little bit to make sure we're getting it in. So we're going to look at what it means to recruit, kind of what the definition of that is and what that actually looks like what the steps are to that, how you should be doing it, practical tips, and then also look at some of the excuses, some of the reasons that sometimes we don't recruit like we should. I remember it was, I don't know, a year ago or maybe more, Becky did a little call one day and she talked about the differences between prospecting and recruiting. And for me, that was a real aha kind of moment, because I think that I kind of lumped all that together and I didn't distinguish the two very well at all, actually. And so they all kind of got muddled. And so I never really had clarity on the people that I was talking to, where they were falling in the process. And so sometimes I'd just get so confused by it or so unsure of what the next step should be that I would kind of just, stop or go too fast or give too much information if I wasn't really clear on what this person was to me, right? So a prospect, we'll start there. A prospect is someone who you're just kind of warming up to the idea of Rodan and Fields, right? These are people that you have started conversations with, that you might be asking to an event, someone that you might ask to take your solution tool, someone that you might give a sample to, someone that you might have a call with or have a conversation with, somebody who might ask you about your business, to where you are just it's kind of like dating a little bit, like getting to know you, like listening. Oh, okay, so you've always struggled with this with your skin, or oh, so you're deciding if you want to stay home or if you want to work, or where you're just kind of learning about the person, right? This is a great time where you're saying, hey, let me give you a sample and let you try this out, or where you're saying, hey, let's meet for coffee. I'd love to tell you about this if you're interested. Or this is just kind of the warming up process, right? Where you have got somebody in your funnel. You want to be really careful not to go too fast during this process, because then they feel like, whoa, like I'm a piece of meat and all you want to do is, get me to join your team. But you also want to make sure that you're really, really listening. I think that listening during this is really key, that you're learning what this person is interested in, afraid of. Do they want product? Are they interested in that? What is their taste, I guess, for Rodan and Fields? So that's kind of what a prospect is. So I have a lot of prospects right now, right? People who spent some time just kind of dropping here and there, hinting about things, or even giving them samples or getting them as PCs even already, with the idea of like, oh my goodness, she would be so great in this business, right? I literally, as I was preparing for this, was like making this list of like, oh, I have these people who are prospects, they don't know it, but I have spent some time kind of paying attention to their life and asking questions about what's going on with them and listening to that. And they know that I do Rodan and Fields. And in my mind, I am thinking, oh, I want to recruit you to my team, but I am taking the time with it. And they are a prospect. Okay. They are trying the product. They are listening. They are watching me. And I know that we're kind of engaged in that prospect activity, right? This is places where you're paying attention to what is it that Rodan and Fields can really do for them, right? This is where you're paying attention to, are they a stay-at-home mom and they want to have something to challenge them? Are they a working woman and they, are really driven? What is it? What is their pain point? What is the thing that is gonna, Rodan and Fields can really help them with? So this is kind of where you're learning all that. You're listening, you're paying attention, you're engaging them in Rodan and Fields, but not in a super fast and aggressive way, right? It's just kind of they're a prospect, you're kind of working with them and warming them up to the idea. Okay, the next step then is recruiting. And this is what we're going to talk about more, focus on that more today, because I feel like prospecting is something that just kind of, it happens without, it's not really like, it's not super intentional. It is less intentional maybe than you are with when you start actually recruiting someone. So recruiting someone is making sure that you're really clear that you want them to join you in business. It is asking them, hey, have you ever thought about this? Or I think you would be amazing with this business, and I would love for you to consider joining me. I remember a pivotal moment for me was where I was like, I am not being clear. Like, these girls who I think I am prospecting and now have moved into recruiting, they don't know it. And if they don't know it, then you're doing something wrong, right? If they don't know that you are actively recruiting them, you want them to be on your team, you want them to do this business with you, then you're missing out, right? Okay, because they're kind of confused and they either feel like, whoa, you're being sort of pushy. And I think we do need to be careful with our language. You don't want to be like, hey, I'm recruiting you, girl. That's not cool, right? But what you do want to say is like, I would love for you to think about joining me with this business. I have loved this. I think that you would be great for X, Y, and Z reasons. I've been really intentional about the people that I have kind of sought after to join me in this business. And I think it would be awesome. And I think that you would love this. So you want to be really clear that you are interested in them joining your team and being with you in business. You sometimes just need to come right out and say it, and sometimes it's like you prospect for so long that you think you're being really clear, and that you think that they know that you would want them to do this with you, but a lot of times they don't, because, just because you give someone a sample and talk to them about Rodan and Fields and invite them to events, they don't know that you're interested in them doing this business with you. Okay. So sometimes you need to just come right out and say. A couple of the fastest moving things that I've been a part of as far as recruiting goes, I remember I was sitting in a coffee shop and I just texted, I was like, girl, you may think I'm nuts, but I think that you would be amazing in this business with me. I think that people respect you. You have an awesome network. Have you ever considered this? Because if so, I really think that we need to pursue this. And immediately get a text back. You know what? I kind of have been thinking about it. And so sometimes you just need to be really clear and come out and say it. And honestly, I really feel like people appreciate that more than kind of this like, sly, underhand thing. So let's just work on being honest and open about that. Now you got to make sure that you have done the proper prospecting and warming up and listening and paying attention and knowing them before you are able to send a text message like that. And then you need to tell them, why you think from all these things that you've learned as you've prospected them, how would Rodan and Fields help them? You've learned all this stuff about them and their family and their job and their hopes and their dreams and their skin concerns, their financial situations, whatever it is that you've learned as you have been prospecting. That's when you put it in to play when you start recruiting, is at this point where you say, hey, I know you're looking for a way to stay home with your daughter. I know that that's something that is your deepest desire. And honestly, I feel like this might be a vehicle that could help you do that. I've seen that happen. And, so you can actually address things that you have learned about them in the past. Specifically, you can address those things with ways that Rodan and Fields can help those positions, right? And then there's kind of a system that you will work them through, right? So if they say, yes, I kind of have been thinking about that, let's talk. You say, great. Here's my biggest piece of advice. The faster you can get with them face-to-face or on the phone is the best thing that you can do for your recruiting. Okay, the faster you can get off of Facebook Messenger, the faster you can get off of email and texting and get on the phone with them. And honestly, for me, it's pure efficiency, because I can say in 10 minutes what would take probably a week going back and forth with messaging, right? Because, I'm messaging, now I'm away from my computer for 4 hours. And, so if I can say, hey, when can I catch you on the phone? Or I know, because I have been prospecting you, that every day you have lunch from 12 to 1, or you drive to work from 8 to 8:30, or, you go to the gym at 5:30 every day. So I know, because I have known you and I know your life and the patterns of your life. So make sure when you're throwing out a time or suggesting getting on the phone with them, that you say, hey, how about on your way to work tomorrow, let's get on the phone for 10 minutes. And during that 10 minutes, I think it's really, we need to be really careful not to just vomit all this stuff on them. Like, okay, there's a 100 bucket and a 600 bucket. And no, they do not need to know that the first 10 minutes of conversation. All they need to hear is your story and how this is going to help them. Okay. So I think that, the first thing you need to do when you are in the process of recruiting is short, brief, pitch it to them in a way that is going to make sense in their world, right? Tell your brief story, and then what's this going to do for you? Then move on from there into a 3-way, and then follow up and all that kind of stuff. So we'll talk about that here in just a minute. But I think that just asking the direct question, hey, have you ever thought about this? I would love for you to do this with me. And then brief conversation, and then 3-way call. So I'm going to talk about a few practical tips about recruiting. Now that we've kind of set the difference between prospecting and recruiting and really how they work together. So the next thing is focusing on recruiting and the practical things you need to know. So you must be organized. Especially us as busy people and busy leaders, you have to be organized in order to use your time efficiently. Okay, I'm going to pause for 1 second. Okay, I have a little kid knocking on the door, so give me 1 second. I'm going to pause and I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. My daughter needed me for a minute. Okay, so you must be organized. That's where I left off. This means we're all busy people, and we all have 1,000 things that we're spinning. If that's a job, if that's home, if that's children, if that's husbands, whatever, tons of things, right? So in order for Rodan and Fields to fit seamlessly into our lives, we really do have to spend a little bit of our work time getting ourselves organized so that we can do this efficiently, right? The tool that I have found to be most helpful for that is a master list. Now, I will say this is something I've adopted in the past, 8 months or something, where I finally got to the point where I was like, oh my gosh, I kept having all these ideas, but I couldn't get them organized in any way of who I needed to talk to. And gosh, when did I follow up with them? I'd be searching Facebook messages. Was that 1 month ago or 3 months ago? I don't know. I can't remember. So I developed a master list. Now my system is real lame. It is Excel spreadsheet, but it works for me because I know how to sort that thing. I know how to alphabetize it. I know how to, every way I need to do it. And so I just have a master list, and I add to it regularly. Okay. Now that's the discipline that I think is the most challenging about this master list. Is it took me a while to get it all down onto this Excel spreadsheet. But the challenge now is that that list needs to continue to grow. The good thing about it is I have a column for name, phone number, email, where they live. And this one has been really valuable because anytime I get that email, that they send out from corporate where events are all across the country, I'm able to sort my list by state or whatever. And then I'm able to say, oh, there's 5 people right there who are in Kansas and they're having an event in Wichita in August. This is real life. And so I was able to say, oh my gosh, nothing happens in Kansas, right? If y'all know anybody in Kansas, you need to get them on your Rodan and Fields team because it's just now getting there. But so I sort my list of who do I know in Kansas and I send them all, hey, save the date, put it on your calendar. You need to go to this event. You need to hear about what I'm doing. You would love this. And sent them all messages telling them to save the date for something that's going to happen in August, right? But it was so easy for me to do. I didn't have to sit there and be like, who do I know there? I just sorted my column of who lives there and all their information was. So where is critical. And that comes in really, really helpful when I see of other events that are happening, or I know of other people who live in those places, and you can connect people easier. So where I have a column that says the last touch, when was the last time that I talked to them? And, what did I do? Did I send a Facebook message? Did I send a text? Did I invite to an event? What was it? And then some notes about that, because, you think you're going to remember, but you really honestly never do. I have done that so many times where I'm like, oh, what'd they say? Were they interested? Were they not? So I just put like quick little notes. And then I have a column that says the next time that I'm going to touch base with them. So that list gets sorted regularly too, because it'll say, in April I sorted it and it had all these people that, had said, hey, you know what, give me 6 months, or I am interested in this, but I'm going to need a little time because I'm finishing such and such up, So I have, I put, or if I don't hear from them, I go ahead and put them, a month out or something so that I can follow back around. So that has proved to be really, really valuable. I will say making the list, of course, you always hear, don't prejudge because you never know. You're always so shocked at who actually is going to be interested and who's not. But so being organized is really, really important. And then the communication piece, and I already touched on this a little bit, but get off of the computer, okay? Get off the computer and get off the technology and get on the phone. People can hear excitement in your voice. They can see excitement in your face. You can actually move a whole lot faster. You can say a lot more than you can type. So I would say, practically get off of technology and get face-to-face or on the phone. Is the best thing. Use the Facebook and stuff and emailing and as support to what you have spoken to them, right? So you can say, oh, let me email you something about that. And that is great because that is support to what you are saying to them face to face, okay? Find that, my system is the Excel spreadsheet, but find something that works for you, and find something that works for you in the time that you have allotted in your business for doing these touches and these follow-ups. You have to have some kind of system that you are working. So when I first started the business, it was 2 things every day, every single day, 2 things for my business. And as I've grown, that number has grown as well. So each of you need to make sure that you have kind of a daily or weekly amount of touches that you want to do, follow-ups you want to do, and all that kind of stuff. So, okay. So as I said earlier, it's simple, but it's not easy. Okay. It is, everything about this business, honestly, is simple. I mean, that's how we're able to duplicate and make this thing churn, right? It is a simple business, but that does not mean that it is easy. So many things come up when you start thinking about recruiting. Insecurities. I mean, for me, this is, I get so insecure thinking about reaching out to people about the business because I wonder, oh God, are they going to think that all I'm trying to do is pull you onto the team? I know how this works, Demetria. I got it. Or are they going to think, oh gosh, she has gone crazy over this Rodan and Fields stuff? Are they going to think, she'll never talk to me about anything else in the world again except for Rodan and Fields? Oh gosh, here she goes. She got in touch with me. I am so insecure about that. Now that is my own personal insecurity. And some people are afraid, gosh, I don't want to come across too pushy, or gosh, I'm afraid that if I tell them about the business, maybe they'll never buy product from me. And then, oh no, I'll lose a PC. And it's like, that's kind of crazy. But people think that, or they think, there's all these things. People are going to talk behind my back. People are going to think that, I've lost my mind. They're going to, I'm not going to know what to do. I mean, well, how am I going to lead somebody in this business? Or how am I going to talk to them about this and not sound like a moron? So some of these things are emotion-based. And some of these things are skill-based, and thankfully there are solutions for both. But recruiting is, you do have to work, you have to practice it and work at it, right? So the things personally that I was telling y'all that I am afraid of or deal with, and these are the concerns that come up when you start talking about recruiting, is mine are mainly all emotional based. I feel like I have the skills that I need to do it and to walk them through the system and to say the right things and to have the conversations and do the three-way calls and all that. But I personally struggle more on the emotional based piece, right? On the things like, oh gosh, what are they going to think about me? Or, oh, am I going to drive them crazy? Or, oh God, another message to them. They're going to literally think I'm a total loser, whatever those things are. Right. And those things need to be combated with belief. I believe 100% in this business. I believe in the company. I mean, we're the number one, right? Can't really argue with that. We're a $1 billion brand. Can't really argue with that. Like, we have an amazing company, an amazing business, and amazing products, right? So all of those things I truly believe in. And so then when the belief falls is with me, do I believe that I really can do this, right? So those are the kind of things that I need to work on in order to improve my recruiting. Now, if you're kind of saying, oh, well, the things that I struggle with are more like, gosh, how am I going to do this? Or how am I going to manage this? Or my life seems so busy, and if I add more and more people to my team, like, where's this going to fit? Or am I going to have the skills to be able to do this? Or I'm not a teacher or a trainer. I mean, I don't know how I even got here. So those are things that you thankfully can practice. And this company, y'all know, has every kind of thing to equip you to be able to do that well. So you just have to learn the system, right? It is tried and true. It works. Everybody you talk to that is successful says the same exact thing. And so it's kind of like, it really isn't rocket science. It's simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. The system basically is doing your reach out, inviting language. Hey, would you like to hear about this business? I think you would be amazing. Would you be interested in learning and potentially joining me on this Rodan and Fields journey? Sharing your story. That's where it's important. We talked about this last week. Knowing your story so well that at any minute you can say your story, right? That you can say it in such a way that it's interesting, it's captivating, and informative. Do you know your story really well? Have you tweaked it to be able to, at the drop of a hat, tell somebody why you're in this business and your experience with it? So call them. Less is more. There's no need to be going off into too much information. Don't overwhelm them. And then that's kind of your pre-qualifying. So you kind of have a first conversation. And then somewhere towards the end of that conversation, this is some great language to get them to move into the next step of the funnel, which would be probably a three-way call or an event, either one maybe. But say, hey, the next step in this process is I would love for you to hear from my friend who does this business with me. I think that she would be really great at being able to answer some questions that you may have. And so I'd love for us to give you a call. She's awesome. You're going to connect with her. How about on your way home from work tomorrow? And so the faster and the quicker you can move this on, the better, right? So move them on to a three-way call. Y'all know that. We can even talk about that more if y'all have questions specific about three-way calls, but then follow up with them and try to close the deal. So that's kind of the practical way that you would move somebody through recruitment, right? Starting with a conversation, moving them into, inviting them to hear more, inviting them to check out Rodan and Fields, having an initial call with them, moving them to a three-way call, moving them to a follow-up, and then to closing. And sometimes you just have to come right out and say, hey, let's make a decision about this, because people are slow. They drag their feet. I tell this story all the time, and this goes for product or the business. This was like 2 years ago. I knew 100% I was going to buy this pair of boots. I know which boots they were, where I was buying them from, how much they cost, what I planned to wear these boots with, right? I was going to do this. But every night I would lay it, I mean, went on for 2 weeks, right? Every night I would lay down, oh, I did not order my boots today. I mean, it's like I probably was at my computer 10 times and could have done it. I certainly had some free space in my life when I could have gotten on and ordered those boots that I wanted, but I didn't because it just wasn't front of my brain. I really wanted them. I knew I was going to get them. But life just kept on going and I didn't sit down and order my stinking boots, right? And so I have to remind myself of that all the time. It's like this girl, she was blown away by this three-way call. She knows she's going to do this business. Her husband's on board. We're ready to go. But it's not there's also a million other things, right? And so that's why it's our job to follow up, our job to call and say, okay, girl, what are you thinking? Let's make a decision about this. Because I mean, I need that in pretty much every area of my life. And so since this is our job, that is what we need to do and not feel bad about that. So follow up with them and then close the deal or decide that it's not the right time. And then in which case they're back on the follow-up list for later because everybody's circumstances change all the time. So I'm going to, and the thing about this is that all these skills really are things that we can practice. With recruiting, it really is things like you can practice saying your story. You can practice what you would say on a three-way call or how you're going to transition. I mean, it's a sentence, it goes from oh, we're talking and here's a little bit about the business. Here's a little bit about my story. Here's why this would be great from you. Hey, the next step in this is that I think it'd be great if you got on the phone with my friend who does this business with me. Would be great to answer your questions. And I think you'd really enjoy hearing her story too. So that doesn't sound weird. Everyone's so freaked out about how to actually get someone on a three-way call. First of all, don't ever call it a three-way call because that does sound something no, lame. Don't do that. But, but you practice, how am I going to transition this? I remember when I was on Young Life staff and I was learning how to give a Young Life talk, that was one of the things that they told us, practice your transitions. You have to know how you're getting from this part to the next part. And that's really a critical part. And we have to practice those things. It's not like we're just join the business and, oh my gosh, all of a sudden I'm awesome at this, you really do have to practice it. So I'm going to show a quick little video. There was a really helpful daily experience a while ago. And some of the things that I actually talked about today were from that daily experience. Was very long. But in her closing just really punched me in the gut. So I'm going to play this for you and then we'll come back and I'll tell you your homework for this week. So hang on one second. Let me pull this up. Here it is. Okay, just a couple minutes.
In closing, what are you willing to do to be good at this? What are you willing to do? How uncomfortable are you willing to be up front? And how hard are you willing to work to recruit people and build generational wealth in this business? That's really what it comes down to, you guys. You have to be willing to put in the time. Like I've said multiple times, you're not just going to get good at this stuff because you signed up as a consultant. I mean, I've got consultants, on my team who have really not, been on active for, 4 years now. And I think they're still sitting there thinking I'm coming into my fifth year and any day now this is all going to click. Well, not if you don't work at it. It's not going to click. I mean, I'm not going to just get fit because I know about going to the gym. I have to actually go to the gym, which is a whole other I'm going to talk about it. So are you willing to learn? Are you willing to create processes for yourself so that you have a roadmap for how to get where you want to be? Are you willing to, spend the time to figure out how you want to onboard people and how you want to pour into them as a leader? Because if you aren't willing to learn these things, if you aren't willing to work on these things, there's nothing anyone can do to help you at all. But if you're willing to do the work, if you're willing to do all these things, there's nothing anyone can do to stop you because we have such an amazing opportunity in this business. And I just want to be perfectly clear with you guys. Someone's going to build out your network, okay? Eventually, close to 100% of the people that you know are going to have heard about Rodan Fields from someone. And if you aren't running with your hair on fire to be the person to tell them about this, you are missing out. If you are scared and you are selling products instead of talking to people about the business, you are missing out. Don't look back 10 or 15 years from now and say, man, I really should have tried harder at this because I missed it. It was right in my lap and I missed it because I wasn't willing to be uncomfortable up front so that I could get comfortable long term. Don't miss out on this opportunity, you guys. Get comfortable, get confident, do the personal development, do the work that you need to do so that none of these excuses are a problem anymore, because that's all they are, and we're all better than that. All right, guys, that's all I have today. Thanks so much for joining me, you guys. This has been amazing to be on here. I appreciate it so much. Thanks.
Okay. I think that her challenge to us is really good. And that's what I needed to hear. You know, it's like, someone is going to do this. And do I have it in me to be the one to do it? To be the one to, you know, do the work, to do the hard work, to walk through the process, to share, to ask the question, and to be bold like that. So a little bit of homework for this week. Simple things. I'm going to challenge you guys to get organized, okay? Recruiting takes organization. Otherwise, we are a lot of Post-it notes all over the place with very little like actual effective work getting done, right? So get organized, whatever that means for you. And if anything, let's just take it to the next step, right? So I'm not saying you got to spend 5 hours this week making a huge Excel spreadsheet like I did, but what would help you use your time effectively and get to do the work of recruiting, okay? What is it that's going to help you? Is it, you know, you plan a week at a time? These are the 10 people I'm going to get with this week. These are the 5 people I'm going to follow up with this week. What is it? How is it going to be for you? That you have some organization in your recruiting, okay? Maybe that means like, gosh, I just need to sit down and make a list of the people that I have talked to about this business. Because sometimes you can have all these conversations going and it'll be like, it's been 2 weeks. I meant to follow up with that girl, but you know. So maybe it's as simple as that. It's like, just make a list of the people who are in your funnel right now. And then, you know, getting to work with those people, right? Get yourself organized. And the second, I want you to report on, I'm going to do a post, report on the progress that you're making as you're working with one of these prospects, okay? I hope that every week we have prospects that we're talking to, that we're meeting with, following up with, engaging in this process. So I want you to report on, you don't have to use their name, whatever, just say, my prospect, I had lunch with her, and I'm scheduling a three-way call, and we'll see where this goes from here. Just where are you in the work of recruiting someone that you're currently talking to? I think that just the accountability of like, oh, okay, where am I? And like paying attention to the system and how you kind of can move people through from a prospect into a recruiting phase. And obviously all these things, I hope this goes without saying, are not things that you actually physically say to the person like, okay, well, we're moving on into the recruiting phase. So these are the things we're going to be doing here. But this is just for your own knowledge and our own language behind the curtain, right? So, okay, I hope this was helpful. Thanks for letting me pre-record, and y'all have a great week, and look for the homework post that I'll put up. Okay, love you guys. Bye.